Hey, welcome back to Sober Now. I'm Jim LaPierre. Today's topic is, well, kind of a lighthearted one, but nevertheless something that tends to be really, really difficult for us. Today I want to talk about taking compliments. It's something early on in my career I noticed was that whenever I spoke well of a person, whether they were in early recovery and oftentimes even after they've been sober a number of years, I noticed this kind of reflex that people in recovery have when they're offered praise or recognition or an affirmation. There's a tendency to water it down. There's a tendency to deflect it completely. There's a tendency to try to refute it and explain why it wasn't a big deal and it's not something that really deserves to be spoken about. And what I've learned over the years is that people like me will kill ourselves to impress, to meet the needs of, to come through for somebody else. And what we're working very, very hard to do is to earn appreciation and acceptance and love. And then when the folks that we've supported or done nice things for try to give us those gifts, we find that we're too uncomfortable to receive them. And a lot of us get stuck in this horrible loop of earning approval only to reject it or deflect it. What I've learned over the years is that the impression, the understanding of the person who's saying kind things to us doesn't match up to our self image. If we accept the responsibility of taking those compliments, taking that praise, and holding on to it, it creates responsibility for us because if the person who's giving us those gifts is correct, well, then we need to change. We need to change our self image, our self worth, which in turn would change our self talk and the ways in which we relate to ourselves, which would create greater possibilities. And the totality of that is scary, right? Because we're not sure how to be that person. We're still trying to get comfortable all by ourselves. We're trying to figure things out all by ourselves. And what I've learned is that I need a lot of outside input to get a thorough understanding, right? The way I'm looking at it isn't necessarily what's true because we internalize so many false beliefs, so many negative messages. We do that in our family of origin. We do that in abusive relationships. We do that through the course of all the places that addiction took us. And it's so common that it's actually a Facebook meme. It's one of my favorites. The meme says, "How you speak to your children becomes their inner voice." And what I noticed at some point in my own healing was that when I'm frustrated with myself, when I disappoint myself, I would speak to myself exactly the way that my abusers would. And it came to me that in a sense I honored them by treating myself that way. And so, independent of how I felt about me, I had strong conviction that I didn't want to behave like them. And for the most part, I don't act like my family of origin. I'm kind and supportive to other people. But for a lot of my life, I did not relate to myself in a way that even remotely resembled kindness or acceptance. So, even when I came to a place through therapy and coaching that I had an understanding that what had been taught to me was not true, that didn't really indicate to me what was true. I just gained this really uncomfortable awareness that so many things that I thought were true of me weren't. Um, this theme is beautifully illustrated in the movie The Truman Show. It's about 20 years old now, but I highly recommend it to folks who are on a journey of transformation because it illustrates a lot of the kind of things that we go through. So, something as simple as receiving a compliment, really, all that requires of us is to smile and say thank you and not debate it and not deflect it and not try to shoot it down. We forget that when a person is paying us a compliment, assuming they're sincere, To refuse that or deflect that is unkind, because the person's giving us a gift and we're not being gracious in receiving it. We're kind of throwing it back at them. I know that for a lot of us, we struggle and wonder, what are the motives of the person who treats me well? What is it that they want? Why are they trying to build me up? Do they want something? And again, I think that expectation comes from our past experience. And one of the things that is really difficult and uncomfortable to notice is that the people who are in our lives today oftentimes are very different than the people who are in our past, but we apply those same expectations to people in the here and now. So if we're willing to listen to our intuition, it's really not hard to tell if somebody's being sincere. It's really not hard to tell if they're trying to manipulate us. But we have to be open to listening to your gut and just taking what's said at face value, even if you don't agree with it. Now, my suggestion is hold on to it and revisit it. My friends in AA talk about the old tapes. The old tapes are painful and very negative messages that we internalize. We hold on to them, and sometimes they're intrusive thoughts. Sometimes they're just the very things that we say to ourselves when we make a mistake or when we are afraid. And so if we're going to do away with those negative messages, we're not just going to erase them. We're not going to forget them. There is no forgetting. Instead, I think what we have to do is examine each of them and decide what's true for us. And ideally, as we accept praise and appreciation, recognition, those positive messages, in a sense, replace the false beliefs that we've had and the hurtful things that were said to us. So I say taking a compliment is really important. I say stop playing small, stop watering yourself down, and just accept that people appreciate you, even when it's uncomfortable. Be more true to ourselves, I think, is the goal here, and develop a more positive self-image. I really don't have patience with counselors who want to talk about self-esteem, because self-esteem is this abstract concept. It's not like it's something I can go buy at Walmart. But if I'm willing to let other people think well of me, appreciate me, support me, if I'm willing to take pride in the things that I do well, if I'm willing to just notice the progress that I'm making in my journey and in continued healing, all of those things result in a greater sense of self-worth or self-esteem. So I would love to hear your ideas or questions about that. Always welcome your email, jim@sobernow.com. Please give a like and a subscription to the videos. Please share with friends and family. And please take excellent care of you and have a great day.